Okay, folks, happy Thursday, or whatever the hell day it is. Alright, let's move this over here. Alright. Hopefully it's not too bright, too much kickback, as I like to call it. So here we are with vehicles for the British team. I was working on this Scarlet Scoundrel, and it was taking quite a bit of time to try to get all the parts in there. It's not that it's a problem, but sometimes you just want to follow the path of least resistance. So we do have this thing designed. We also have this Mini Cooper designed as well. The Harry Potter mobile, we haven't done anything with that one, or the Defender. And I was looking through the stuff when I did the deep dive the other day of looking through the hundreds of vehicles that I have. I saw one that immediately dawned upon me what I was going to do with it. And it's one that I had forgotten I had. So I'm going to skip. We're going to leave the British here because we're going to eventually get to them, but it's this particular Mercedes. It is a 300 SL, and it's red, and it has a number 2 on it, a numeral. What year edition is this? This is a 2020. Let's get the super readers on. 2021, I think. 2021. Yeah, Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. It's like a car from the 60s or something like that. I think it's a 60s car. Anyhow, I've already designed it. And let me pull it up on my phone. It's just easier to design it by paper than sit there and... It's going to have 2 heavy machine guns, slippery skill, dead-eye skill, and headshot skill. So this is some kind of an ace. And right now we're temporarily calling him Baron von Richthofen. So that's what this guy's going to be. And we've given him a clear coat. All right, but the wheels are still moving. So let's glue those wheels moving. I didn't even bother taking it apart because I'm not going to make it look like it's got armor or anything. I might put some netting or something on it, but this is a guy that just kind of an offensive car, no ram. They can't all have rams, man. Every vehicle has a rams to a certain point kind of ruin it. Because if you're doing like a death race, anybody who has rams can damage other people at leisure before they get to the first gate. I'm not saying it's unbalancing, it's just it's something to consider. So we're going to glue the tires on this one, and then we're going to look at the parts that we're going to put on it. All we're going to put is a couple heavy machine guns. I think I know what I'm going to do. We're going to leave it in red. No, we're not going to put an iron cross or anything on there. Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. Yeah, these have gull wings, I believe. Yeah, so we'll keep that in mind. We're not going to put it somewhere that's going to cover where that's going to go. It's going to be similarly armed to the Viper. But this is the first vehicle that I have that is actually going to have the couple of these perks. And they are, I have a slippery one, but I've never had a dead eye or headshot. It's not like I wasn't planning on ever doing those. It just didn't get around to them. It's already got a clear coat, an acrylic clear coat. I wish it was enamel, honestly, but I'm not fooling with enamels. Spray cans just aren't reliable anymore. Let this dry a little bit. Let's go ahead and rummage through the parts. I'm going to go and look at the little bin first, where I tricked myself and pulled some of the items out. And I'm either going to use these machine guns, 2 of those, or these. These are the ones that are on Carl. What is it? Chrome Carl. And these machine guns come in the male or female variety. So they've got one so you can make it so that the bullets get fired off, not towards the center. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I've used up all the other machine guns. I don't want 30 cals. I don't want AKs. We don't need rams. These are what, miniguns, just flamethrowers. Actually, they may be here. That's the second set. I've gone through so many of them, I had to order more machine guns. A couple months ago. I got 60-something cars. The parts are more expensive than the vehicles. Not moving? Not moving. Okay. Perfect. Let's remove some of this that is sticking taller than the tire. Now, I haven't even built any of the rigs that I got the parts for. I'm just not in a hurry to do that. I need to flesh out these teams a little bit more. Only the Boombox Carnage are really fleshed out really well. I still got more vehicles from Boombox Carnage, like 4 or 5. But okay, let's see what we got in here. Okay, here's more of this. The other option is to do. Don't fall on the ground. The other option is to do 2 of these. I don't want 30 cals. These big old things. Nova Pain has 2 of those on the roof, so I will try to avoid. I got lots of these little 30. These little make-believe, whatever the hell they are. What's up, Tritark? What happened? Some of these things aren't in scale. Like this looks like it'd be like almost 28 millimeter. It's like a laser cannon or something. I mean, not a laser cannon, but some kind of like bolt gun or whatever. I don't have a problem using that stuff. It's, I think, a flamethrower. Yeah, I think we're probably going to use these. We're not going to use the M60s. Not going to use the AK variants. Not on this vehicle. I was looking to see where the other little, here it is, the other little side machine guns. So I'm either going to do this or this. And they're gull wings. So I don't want to keep anything from opening up. That shit's important to me. Otherwise, I'll just mount on the roof, mount everything on the roof, I do need a boom bot. I need a boom bot. Uncle Artie, that's right. That reminds me, I gotta make some Uncle Artie reference for one of the billboards. I made a couple of new ones today. You're not on Facebook, so I'll show you. One of them is I was just kind of fucking around. I was driving on the way. I was driving on the way back from lunch, and I was brainstorming. And I'm like, because I want to put. I really don't want to run another game. I really don't want to run another game until I got more decor out there. Just to kind of get in the spirit. So I'm like, there's no reason I can't like create fake movie posters for things. So this is the first one I thought of is How I Met Your Mother. From the people who survived family dinner, How I Met Your Mother. Life's a bitch and your mom is one too, every full moon. Mitch with the ding! That's right, I gotta remember that. Ever so slightly, ding, and Rutabaga is him. I get Boomba, Uncle Artie, and Heffalump. It's just our things we say, Ever so slightly, like he's a fucking surveyor or something like that, It's his version of Missed It by That Much. And then here's another movie here. Mitch even stars in this one. Eat your vegetables or they'll eat you. Revenge of the Rutabagas. And Mitch is actually down in the credits. I mean, this is just so... I'm not a fan of AI. But I'm not a fan of AI from the standpoint... I'm not creating anything real. And I'm not, like, making fake videos of, hey, look at this airliner that got knocked down. I'm not perpetrating lies with it. Mine is obviously just for fun. And, I don't even animate my cars or anything like that. That was the funniest video with the enemies of Ur. What was funny about that one? We've had some funny video. The most insane one is the Jewish battles. The classical Jewish battles, that's biblical shit happened there. I can't even explain it. It reminds me of this one battle that I played at a convention, so it wasn't being filmed, against Don, and I was using my Pope for the first time. And I'd do crazy shit like, okay, you're going to roll a 1, and then, he'd be like attacking my Pope. I'd say, you're going to roll a 1, and you'd roll a 1. It was just like some fucking witchcraft. Some coincidental witchcraft that was going on there, Dark in the Skies? Yeah. Yeah, you gotta watch that classical Jewish battles, man. It's insane. I had a viewer that suggested, hey, you're always asking what you should do. And it said, I think he said something along the lines of, you're always saying if you don't know what to play what you are. Which I agree, like, what's my first army? Frickin' Spanish army, right? Makes sense. Well, he was Jewish, and he's like, I decided he was going to build a Jewish army, this guy. And he said he'd like to see some classic, and he even gave me some matchups. He's like, do these guys versus these guys versus these guys. It was like a set of like 4. It was 4 or 5. And a lot of those like Hebrew armies are really, they're really light. You got to get really creative or lucky. Man, they got fucking lucky. It's unbelievable. You got to see it. It's just, holy smokes, yeah. No, I'm the one in the... I don't remember what happened in Holy Smokes, but in the... Nobody else has done DBA videos, have they? Like, I set the groundwork. I'm like a retard. Like, I don't really know how to film things. It just kind of happened, I'm good at painting. I'm good at this shit, right? But I'm not a video guy. So even an idiot can make videos and people can watch them. I'm surprised other people didn't do them. It's easy, but people just don't want to do it. It's better than doing like a vlog or, write stuff on, what do you call that thing? Not Squarespace, whatever the hell it's called, Write stuff that nobody's going to read, Yeah, I don't know why anybody didn't make DBA videos. Oh well, I can't really make videos for stuff that I'm not playing. Nothing against the DBA community, but a couple people are a pain in the ass, but That's really the exception. Of all the people that I've played, and I think I did a count one time, it was about 200 different players I've played. Only 2 do I never want to play with. Again, that's pretty good odds. And they were just, they were a pain in the ass to deal with. Okay, so we have... This is an American car, so you don't know. Oh, and by the way, I was thinking about your Torino. Yeah, it's yours. So to speak, that green one. Yeah, but let me do this one, and then I'm probably going to do the Torino. But the Torino, the other Torino has a couple of M60s on the roof. We won't make that one that way. But the first thing I come up with is, got to come up with a name for it. So I got a couple of candidates for that. But this is going to be Baron von Richthofen. So if we put a couple of machine guns, I really want to put them... there's a stupid Hot Wheels sign here. So they could almost fit down here, not covering the gull wing. And that would be all right. And then it still looks sleek. The guns are out of the way. It spits the shell straight down. That makes more sense than like this, and they're feeding them upwards. I think that's a good place to put it. Up here, it just looks like too many other vehicles. Back here is another option. Then you're covering up the gull wing. You got to put them way back here. Your channel has the most prolific... I got a shitload of videos, man. I got over 200 DBA-related videos. And remember, it's not just one battle in there. It's multiple battles. So, I probably have... I don't know how many battles I have. Say 750. Conservatively, I probably have 750 DBA battles on there. It's like, we're playing. Might as well film it. Never know when something interesting is going to happen. And I think most of the time, something interesting happened. I could make other videos of the armies I have painted and what figures I use, but I don't see that people watch those. I look at the stats and I'm like, nobody's watching that shit. So, I'm not, that's like a video I wouldn't do for me. I'd do it for everybody else. So if I'm doing stuff for somebody else, well, I expect to get some results. I'm doing this right now that I'm building for myself. So if nobody watches that, who cares? I got to do this anyways, right? But if I'm making a video for entertainment purposes, I want people to be entertained. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue this son of a bitch, but I'm going to use the green one so I can move it a little bit. Does that make sense? I don't mind doing shit for other people, but, if people suggest, hey, you should do this, well, I better have more views. Or you're doing it wrong. But just like anything else, some people have a hard time saying, "Yeah, that's really cool." I see something that's really awesome, I don't keep that to myself. I go, "Hey, man, that's really cool. You did." You don't have to make up shit, but Been on an AOH. What the hell is that? And DBA kick recently. Watching DBA vids for strategies. Yeah. Well, I think I should go back and watch some of my earliest ones and just see how bored. But I love talking about what I'm going to do out loud. I don't, I probably didn't do so well because I was but I don't give a shit about outsmarting people. I can outpaint anybody that I play with. So, that's good enough for me. I don't need to win all the battles. But, Oh, this guy's still moving. I like talking about, why I'm making the decisions that I'm making and when I'm making them. So you can't be like, well, that was stupid that you did that. Well, I told you what my options were. I decided that, that's what I chose. Sometimes you don't roll. My only regret is I don't think we've played enough blind general stuff. So I really want to get into another game and incorporate blind general shit. I don't know how you could do it with Gaslands. I think you can. But it's really a cool concept. That whole press your luck thing is really pretty cool. I enjoy it. Alright, so here's the Mercedes. Here's a couple of machine guns on the Mercedes. And that's all he has for armament. The rest of it is just 3 perks. Slippery, which means if somebody tries to ram them, they get -2 on their dice. Deadeye, which gives them a bonus on shooting. And Headshot, which also gives them a bonus on shooting. Age of Hannibal. Yeah, the problem with Age of Hannibal is, my biggest gripe to this day, and the reason why I won't go in, there's a couple things I'll never do again. I'm never going to play a game where you have to do the lineup. It's calisthenics with geometry, and it's not that it's corny, it just makes it look like it's something that it isn't. So, if you got 2 units, assuming they were the same frontage, they don't have to line up with each other. They can just, fight that way. And I'm not playing something that you have to play it exactly the way the rules are written, because everybody makes mistakes. Phil Barker's a sharp guy, but we played the game a lot more than he ever did. He's been gaming a long time. We probably played more games than he's ever played. And we play them hard. We try to get, milk out of a brick. It's like, well, this allows me to move. You try to push it as much as you can. That's how you learn the game system. Didn't say I would design a better game. I certainly would have designed it differently, because he doesn't think the same way I do. Probably good for his sake. But I don't think abstract at all. Abstract doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I'm not an abstract person. I don't like abstract art. I don't like algebra 2. Quadratic fuckery. Okay, so this is what it looks like from above. You one of those people, I forget if you're one of the people on the Hannibal camp, do you like Hannibal better than Alexander? Not that you like him better than Alexander, but that you think he's a better commander. I do. I'm not saying Alexander's an idiot, I'm just saying Hannibal's a better commander. Hannibal did, nobody else could have, well, not everybody. You can't, Hannibal's army sucks. It had some elements that were decent, but as a whole, you got too many Celts and shit like that are flimsy. Then people like AOH because it's a morale clock. You're guaranteed a number of orders based on your morale instead of a D6. Well, yeah. DBA does a lot of things right, and the thing it probably does the best is you finish every battle and everybody's in on it. Like it's not like a foregone conclusion, because it's so weird that only a third of your army is gone from the field, and that could be the end of the game. So it's really hard to steamroll somebody so bad that they don't have a chance of coming back. So that's probably the thing that it does the best. There's a lot of things it does well. I just wish had a little bit more detail. With the same number of units, I'm good with the number of units. Even like 9 to 15 units, I'd be okay. All right. I think this is glued enough. Now, I went through my brushes. I don't know if you saw my brushes. Over the weekend, I bought some more brushes, and I noticed that Walmart now carries these type brushes, the Royal and Lang Nickel, which I think are the best brushes for the value. And so I'm like, I had too many. I mean, I have hundreds of fucking brushes, and some of them need to be refurbed, and some of them I just didn't throw them away. So I've reduced the number of brushes to this. Now I still have a whole pile of other ones that I could revitalize, but it's time to cut this down to a more reasonable amount, because they literally were. I mean, I had that was full, and 2 other cups were full. You know, so I probably threw away. I threw away brushes that these are like old art brushes for like the kids when they come over and use the craft paint. And the problem is that they leave these in water, and then they expand, and then this thing crackles, and then the part of the, this all comes off, and it's like, I've used them enough. It's time to retire them. But Walmart carries, and not that I'm a huge fan of Walmart, but it's one of the few stores you can go to. They carry these Royal and Lang Nickel, and I think that they're a good value for what you get. Okay, so we need to primer this in black. So we're going to come over here and get the primer out. Well, yeah, I mean, the problem with, I really don't like Hobby Lobby, and it's not any of their insurance, and you can't buy condoms, or you can't buy, whatever. The people that work there can't be on the pill, bullshit, right? I don't care about that social crap. It's just that they're closed on Sundays, and that's half the days I have off, So having to go there on a Saturday, it's always busy as shit, and they got like 2 cash registers open when they should have like 6. It's like it's impossible to get out of there, and that's why I don't like the place. So it's just nice to have another option. Oh, I didn't know Walmart had decent brushes. How about everybody has shitty brushes? But these are okay. They're okay. They tend to have they have good longevity, And it used to be like, Walmart didn't carry those. They carried a different brand. I don't know what they were, and they were okay too. And they were like, 8 brushes for like $3.50 or something like that. Like, I'm not buying a $20 brush. I'm worth it. But that's just stupid. Like, that's stressful. Like, man, I gotta make sure nothing happens. As it is, even these ones that are like liners, I try to take really good care of them, for like the faces and stuff like that. The saving grace of Walmart is self-checkout. I like self-checkout. I'm not one of those people. They're running people out of jobs and stuff like that. Because my attitude, no, my way of thinking is, if you work somewhere where you got to deal with the public and you're a dickhead all the time, and you're grumpy, I don't think you should have a job. So, like, I'm fine having those people that are grumpy, and because the thing about Walmart is everybody that's there is in a bad mood, ignores everybody else, and everybody that works there is it's like, it's just, I like going in at weird times, just going in and just do my stuff and get out, You mainly paint small scale minis like 15, 10s, 6s. I need those really fine point brushes. Yeah, they make a couple different sets. I'm a fan of liners. I really am. Not for everything, but and they're not natural hair. They're like, I think something I caught something was written on here. I saw for the first time. Where is it? Vegan friendly hair. Vegan friendly hair. Brown Taklon, yeah, which is synthetic. So, I think they're pretty decent. And I don't think any of the sets cost more than $5. You know, and they're less than $1 a piece for the brushes. But you need to look at them. I don't like buying brushes sight unseen because it can happen to any brush. You look at them and something was like sitting wrong in the package, and you got a brush that's like, you know, got a bend in it or some stray things on it. Like, let me destroy the brush. Let me not have it already destroyed before I get it. So tell me about this accident. You hurt your left arm. So would you get T-boned and you were driving? Man, I'm glad you're all right. That's the one thing that always terrifies me about driving a Jeep. And I'm not saying you were in a Jeep, but we've rented Jeeps before. And what I mean by a Jeep, I mean a Wrangler. Okay, that's the only Jeep that's a Jeep, as far as I'm concerned. You know, Compass isn't a Jeep, you know. I mean, it is. It's a Jeep brand, but that's it. So, I'm afraid of getting T-boned in one of those things because you're like your arm's right here next to the door, and it's like there's not much door there. You know, I mean, I guess they got a lot of their engine's really big, so. When we're on vacation at hilly places, we like to rent Jeeps if we can. So, just something different. I'm never going to buy one. They're too fucking expensive. When it snowed here, I slid on a patch of ice and someone was driving too fast on the other lane, swerved to avoid me, and I got smacked on the driver's side. Work vehicle? Hold on. Ice? In South Kakalaki? Wow. I mean, it was cold. I mean, I personally think this winter was pretty cold. That's not a complaint. I'm just saying that it was cold for a long time. And I think this time it was colder in the east than it was out west, like consistently. Like, the west didn't get as much. It was not typically super cold as opposed to, you know, all the snow that we got out east. I've driven in snow on one trip, and I have no experience driving in snow. But I have a lot of experience driving in adverse conditions in video games. And some of that transfers over. You know? And what I mean by that is like, okay, plan ahead. Like, okay, I'm gonna make a right-hand turn over there, read the road, and start slowing down at a coast way in advance, not at the last fucking moment. You know? And didn't have any problems. But I was getting past, it was at a 45 mile an hour zone. This was in Colorado. And people should not be going 45. I mean, there was snow on the ground, there was ice in places, but it wasn't too bad. But it was like constant snow, like flurries or blowing or whatever. And this guy passed me in the left-hand lane, and he was fishtailing. If you're fishtailing, you're going too fucking fast, man. That's like these guys that are like, oh, I like to race drifting. Dude, drifting is you're going too fast for the turn, man. I don't know. I don't get a kick out of that kind of stuff. I'm all about holding the turn. If you're not holding the turn, you're going too fast. No, your girlfriend's vehicle, she did not want to drive because she's not used to driving in the snow, so I drove instead. Is she okay? You owe her a vehicle. What kind of a vehicle was it? You got a cool girlfriend that drives a stick shift? Nobody has one of those. Actually, that's fine. If my wife drove a stick shift, then she'd want to drive my car. Which there's a problem with somebody driving my car. I'm really concerned about it getting wrecked because you can't get a replacement. Because replacements just aren't affordable anymore. There aren't that many vehicles that are maybe stick shift to begin with. The model car I have isn't made anymore. I mean, it's certainly worth a lot more to me than it is to anybody else. I don't want to replace it. There's nothing out there I would want to replace it with. You know, I wrecked my car. What are they going to give me? 12 grand? What the fuck am I going to do with 12 grand? You know, there's put it down on another vehicle. There's no vehicle out there that's affordable that I can put down on it. You know, there aren't any more $32,000 vehicles that are worth that would want. They're all fucking 50. I ain't paying that kind of money. She's fine, not happy. Her vehicle got totaled. It was a 2011 Subaru XV. What the hell is a Subaru XV? I didn't know she had a Subi. What the hell is an SV? An XV? Crosstrek. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Is that one of the lesbian Subarus? I don't know. That one's kind of like on the. That one's kind of on the fence. We ended up getting two Subarus. Right. We were on Toyota all the time. We went to Subarus, and I found this meme. I didn't even have to create it. I found it on the internet because we both ended up getting Subarus. I have a WRX, and she has a Legacy. And I found this memes like Subaru. It's not just for lesbians anymore. I know, because that's the forest, especially the Foresters and the Outbacks. I'm not driving anything that's remotely looks like a station wagon. I have anti-station wagon disease. You know, I was scarred growing up. We had 2 station wagons, and I do not like station wagons, you know. Well, the good thing about Subarus, I think all of them are all-wheel drive. And I don't know if I could go back to a non-all-wheel drive car. It's fucking awesome. And I think they're all turbos. Which, I'm sorry, I'm a fan of. I don't care about putting premium gas. Let's get up. Is the Crosstrek a turbo? 2011. Crosstrek. No, I guess it isn't. Well, the frickin' Outbacks have them. My wife's car's got it too, and she's like, it's the first car she's had that had a lot of get up and go. And she's like, I like this. I said, yeah, we got to keep getting turbo cars, because it's like, you know, you merge on the interstate and you can like zip up to the speed to merge and stuff like that. There was somebody in my parents' neighborhood that was selling a Crosstrek. I don't know what year it was. It was that orange color, and it was almost a year too soon for my daughter to get a car. You know, she had some money saved up to buy her own car, and the price on it was good. It was somebody older that had it that really didn't drive it much. I can't buy a used WRX because people beat on them. People fuck. I baby the hell out of mine. You know, it's like oil changes at 6,000. We're doing it before that. You know. You know, people blow up the engine, yeah, because you're trying to get, you know, people put add-ons to try to get 600 horsepower out of an engine that's just under 3. Like, dude, enjoy the fact that it's zippy as shit to begin with. Don't blow up the frickin' engine. If you're blowing up the engine on a Japanese vehicle, you're doing something wrong, man. So when we had 2 leases. I ended up keeping mine. because the new models of the WRXs, I don't like how they look. They got all that plastic fucking cladding on them. It looks stupid. Makes it look like you got a huge gap between your wheel and your between your tire and the fender. It's an optical delusion. And I was gonna get, instead of just buying mine outright, I was gonna get one that was a couple years older, but it was an STI. And I test drove an STI because, oh, it's a completely different car, and fuck, it is not. It's not different enough to be, you know. So I'm like, I don't want somebody's used vehicle they've been beating on, you know. I don't think it has turbo, but I have plenty of pep. Yeah, you get used to that. That's the only thing is like, you know, my first car was like 0 to 60 was like 8 seconds. And then the Xterra was a little slower. And then all the Camrys we had were under 8, but not by much. And this car is like under 5.5. And it's like, it doesn't need to be any faster. Oh, it's a slow car. Well, you must be driving rocket-assisted takeoff vehicles, because it's fast enough. You know, I say it's like a Corolla on crack. It's plenty fast. It's plenty fast. And it holds, man. You could do a 90-degree turn at 45 miles an hour and it'll hold. It's freaking crazy. Not that I drive that way all the time, but I did once. I got to see if I could do it, you know? But I haven't taken traction control off and never plan on it. That's like, nope. Tires are expensive as it is already. Yeah, I was looking through some of these, you know, on that 0 to 60, you can spend a lifetime looking at 0 to 60. And I was looking at these like supercars from the 90s, like Skylines and stuff. I'm like, they're fucking slower than my car. Now, they look fast. They look fast as shit and cool as shit, but 0 to 60 is one of those few things you can use. You know, you can use that every day. You know, get up to speed quick. You know, I don't really speed, you know, because especially in this little town, a bunch of guys will pull you over or nothing. But, you know, I don't speed, but you know, you can get up to, you know, whatever the speed limit is as quick as you can, you know. The woman that hit us was going way too fast and she was coming around the bend anyways. Yeah, death wish. Yeah, I've seen it in the rain. There'll be those days it's raining really badly. And people are just driving like too fast for conditions, man. So she get a new car yet? Should go get another Subaru. I like them. Like mine, anyways. Okay. Oh, let's not be an idiot. Let's rinse this and then leave it hang out. Put the laundry out to dry. Okay. I don't think I'm going to put any armor plates or anything. I don't think I'm going to put... I don't think I am. I could. I might could. Yeah, this could be bulletproof glass. Let's just leave it without it. You know? Okay, we need to paint the headlamps in black so we can primer on top of that, but we need something smaller than that. So let's go with, let's use one of the new brushes. Let's see what these things are all about. She's borrowing her mom's car at the moment. It's an old Mustang. Man, one extreme to the other. I don't think I want a rear-wheel drive vehicle. That just scares the crap out of me. But cars are basically out of control. Ever since COVID, out of control. Just out of control. Everything went up 25%. Oh, it's the tariffs. Well, the tariffs don't help. But there was already a fuckery when everybody got all that free money and everything just went up in price. You're having issues with you have your issues with front wheel drive vehicles, having worked on them, but there's advantages and disadvantages. My dad had one rear wheel drive vehicle. It was a Ford station wagon. There we go again with the fucking station wagons. 1968. Town and Country, whatever the hell it was called. And he was never a proponent of rear-wheel drive vehicles. And right or wrong, you learn stuff from your dad, whether you fall in line and agree with what he's been saying for years, or you rebel and do the opposite. So, yeah, there's advantages and disadvantages to everything. I think we're okay with this to go ahead and do the brown wash on it. Okay? Let's try to take care of these brushes so we don't have ones that we're not using. They get so beat up I don't want to use them kind of thing. Tariffs are bullshit. Some of this shit hasn't affected by them. Companies take advantage. Oh yeah, everybody takes advantage of everything. It's like, oh, people want to pay more? What people needed to do is, like, when things went up in price, say, fuck you, I'm not buying a new car. Like I say in Spanish, eso no vale eso. That doesn't cost that. And I just refuse to buy it. And I do that all the time. I mean, if you absolutely need something, yeah. But if you go to a store and it's like something that you bought that used to cost $8, all of a sudden is now 15, like, fuck you, I'm not buying it. Just out of principle. Well, that's just how much it costs now. Well, I don't buy it now. It pisses me off. And if everybody did that, just like when, interest rates are this much, but we're not buying one. People aren't financing them. They would come down, I guess. The value of houses in Florida was pretty steady, right? And then they literally doubled within 2 years. The fuck are you supposed to do with that, Insurance, yeah. And if you use insurance, you can't use insurance, but yet you have to have it. Yeah. And if you stand up to them, they'll drop you. When we had that leak at the other house, we had to get an insurance adjuster. Because they wanted, the whole thing was like 60 grand or 70 grand worth of damage, and they wanted to pay you like six grand. I'm like, all right, we're just going to coat this nicely to give it some depth. Insurance companies know that you need insurance by law, and they can jack up the premiums as much as they want, and people can't do anything about it. Yep. I say we revolt. Fuck them. Well, you could just take public transportation. Who says you got to have a car? Yeah, I took public transportation when everybody had a car, so fuck you. I'm not taking the bus. Everybody I knew had a car when I was like riding my bike. I'm like, I already did the time. Fuck you, I'm driving. Not that I'm bitter or anything. So this might not be some people's cup of tea because like, man, the car looks too new. Hey, this is what it looked like before its first race. You know, why do I have to model a car after it's been destroyed through a race? You know, you live out of sticks. Public transportation is not much of an option. Okay. So let this guy drive. Cool looking car. I can always add the screen on it if it doesn't look good enough. Alright, this guy that we're building here. The Scarlet Scoundrel. We modified this. I don't think I'm going to put the window in on it because I would just have to cut it out anyways. There's some areas here that we have to paint black with the primer. In particular, the grille that's attached to the... And that's the other thing. I like these vehicles to be able to tell what vehicle it's based on. Not like everything's a fucking rust bucket, right? Hey, Warlord. You know, that's just my personal taste. Do I want him to look battle damaged? Sure. Do I want him to have rust and stuff? Absolutely. But I don't want him to all be beat up and, you know, they got to win like a frickin' race. I don't want them to all be black and be just, you know, a big rust bucket. You know, if other people want to do that, that's fine. I like them being on teams, but I don't want them to all look uniform. You know, that's not what I want to see them at. You know, I like the fact they're different colors and it gives them personality and stuff like that. And I like cars. You know, it's cool. You know, this is the only fucking cars you can afford anymore. You know, I like the vehicles you got. The slat armor on the windshields and windows looks menacing and aggressive. Yeah, I mix it up a little bit. You know. Just so they're different types. Okay, the interior of this, we're going to need to. We hot glue gun this down. All right, so what we're going to do is these wheels are still rolling, so let's shut these wheels down, and then we're going to go ahead and primer this in black. I don't think there's a single vehicle that I've painted that I don't like. Do I like some more than others? Yeah, my least favorite one is probably a Ramrat. Because it came with a shitty color scheme. I added a ram on the front and the back, and it looks good. It's just kind of boring being all black. Even this one that's all black has a lot more personality than Ramrat. Ramrat's probably the most boring one I have. But it's only one. All the other ones are pretty cool. Oh, I like them anyways. Which, like I said, that's the important thing. If you're the creator, you're the one that needs to be happy. You see my deep dive on the fucking cars the other day? Ridiculous how many I have. It's in a short period. I've only been buying them for 4 months. So yeah, I got a fucking problem. But I go to Publix, and I go look. Oh, 2 cars. So you go there. Some people buy lottery tickets. I mean, I haven't bought any in a while, but in a month or so. Let me check on the clothes. Still got 32 minutes. Okay. Better than buying lottery tickets. Hey, I haven't had soda in a couple of weeks. There's my soda money. Diet soda, I should say. Since you're towing people, what is a frequent car that you have to tow? Is there a frequent car or a frequent? Oh, you repo. What's a frequently repoed car? I'm gonna take a guess. What's your most frequent car repoed? And I'm gonna say. No, you tell me. I'm going to write it down. And then I'll flip it. And this is the brand that I think is the most is a frequently repoed brand. Okay. Have I seen the Pepsi with prebiotics in it? No. Man, way back in the day, I was a Pepsi fan. I was. And way back in the day, I'm talking like 1990, 89, 90. And I remember there was one time, there's this one, when we used to play naval war games, we'd play on the floor because we were range estimating. And we went over to a friend of mine's house. And we played a game for 26 hours straight. And it was exciting the whole time. It wasn't like it was boring or anything. So we started like on a Saturday morning at like 9. And we finished at like Sunday at noon. And I went through more than a case of Pepsi. In just cans or whatever. But, I had a metabolism back then. And then I switched to Diet Pepsi. And then I was like, man, I got to lose some weight. So I just switched to Diet Pepsi, and I lost 30 pounds in 1 month. Now I was maybe 210 and lost 30 pounds off of 210. But I was young. And then I switched to Diet Pepsi, and I was a big Diet Pepsi drinker until they changed the sweetener in Diet Pepsi. And it tastes like shit, so I switched to Coke Zero. So, you love repoing 1 or 2 chargers. You don't do repo anymore. The most common ones are Cadillacs, Audis, and Lexuses. What did I say? Nissan. I figured Nissans would be repoed a lot. The owners, BMW owners are batshit crazy? Is that what the B stands for? My brother has an Acura. And the reason I'm bringing that up is it leads into what I'm going to say, which I didn't realize. And he says he needed to do a service on it, like 60,000 mile service. And because they consider it a premium vehicle, they charge a shitload of money for that 60,000 mile service. He basically just traded it in and let the next guy fucking deal with the service. And I think that's probably what happens with those premium brands. Audis, BMWs, Mercedes. I heard that the German cars are maybe not maybe not Volkswagen, but I've heard that the German cars are very finicky on servicing them, and that a lot of people like get them cheap, but then they don't do the service, so they run them into the fucking ground. And I mean, you got to do. I mean, you got to do service. You know, a lot of people will be running a car into the ground. They don't change the oil. Like, dude, you have to change the fucking oil. You know, you have to do. You know, you have to do maintenance on a vehicle, or it's gonna let you down when you don't want it to. It's an investment. You need to take care of it. Be like, oh, I bought a dog. What happened to it? It starved. Why? I never fed it. Like, dude, like, you got to take care of shit. So I think that those German vehicles, they're real particular about when you do certain kind of oil changes and shit like that on them, and if you miss it, I think some cars are more flexible than others, but like, I know my car's turbo, and people, I'd heard about people blowing them up and everything, and I'm not changing anything on the fucking engine. It's zippy enough as it is. But I figured we're going to do the oil change exactly what it needs to be, or a little earlier. You towed more Chevrolets and Jeeps than any other brand. Is there much fluff in the game that might influence paint jobs? Nah. I do my own fluff because I like my own storyline. That's like a big part of what it is. So I don't want to. I'm surprised how many people actually follow the fluff that the author created. All the author says in the rules, like, you can create whatever the hell you want, but I don't really like his take on that. I mean, I think the game is just fine. But I see a lot of people make teams for like. There's one of the teams that's basically like I think the warden. So like people that are like in prison. Well, in my world, they're all fucking prisoners, right? They're all bad people. They're all death row folks. If any of these guys crash and don't finish a race, the world is a better place. That's that in my world. But they have a prison team, and I've seen lots of people do a paint job where they're all painted like jumpsuit orange and stuff. I just don't see any point in painting every vehicle in the same paint scheme for me, because I think the color of it gives so much of the personality that I want it to have. And what I've started doing is I've stopped repainting them, because it takes a long time to repaint a vehicle. Instead of like say this Land Rover Defender I have here, okay? This is what it came with. It's got some sponsors on there. It's got the number. Like, if I repaint it, I've got to add all that stuff on there, and I'm not going to add sponsors to it. So, I mean, a lot of them have really cool paint jobs, Especially Jeep. Oh, and the new Broncos are a piece of crap. Which ones? The sports or the other Broncos? I've said it before. I'm not a domestic car fan. And it's a shame. The best vehicles in the world should be American vehicles. I mean, in World War II they were. Everybody else's stuff sucked compared to American stuff. From a maintenance standpoint, I mean, the Sherman, people grab by the Sherman. Dude, the engine on the Sherman is like, lasts 5 times longer than a German tank. It still didn't last worth a shit as far as, number of miles, but it is moving this vehicle through mud and crud, and it weighs 32 tons, etc. But the new Broncos look really sweet. I don't know how they look on the inside, but they look really sweet on the outside. Jeeps. I love the way the inside of a Wrangler looks. It's perfect. It's utilitarian, but not sparse. Like, I love the styling of them. But I'm not paying $60,000 for a vehicle that's, lifted a little bit because it looks cool. Like, I don't have a use for a vehicle that's just, using up a shitload of gas, no performance, no handling, worth it. I'm like, that's not my kind of vehicle. Will I rent them when I'm traveling? Absolutely, They were doing some movies with prisoners doing car battles. Yeah, you can make the world whatever you want. Like, I have teams, but I don't have teams that have special perks for the team. So in other words, like I've got Cruel Britannia. Well, Cruel Britannia is just guys that drive British vehicles, right? That's it. That's the only tie-in that they have, you know. So like all my Cruel Britannia guys have British vehicles. You got minis or a Jaguar or this Harry Potter mobile or Land Rovers, British vehicles. That's it. Now, do they have any perks? The freebie? No, I don't have them do that. I mean, they've got perks, but they don't have like free perks they don't have to pay for. Everybody has to pay for everything. You know, rednecks, right? That's just, rednecks. That's all redneck vehicles. That is boombox carnage. That's the urban brotherhood. Here they are. They just have lowered type vehicles. Do they get no? They don't do stuff like that. Asian decimation. It's just Asian vehicles. And then occasionally you'll have somebody that it's just kind of like a theme for a feeling of what. That's how I want to do it. I don't. It'd be really hard to balance. Like, okay, the British guys get something, perk, or the boombox carnage. All have mute. I don't know. It'd just be too difficult to do that. I'm impressed with Broncos. EV ones are probably the worst. Yeah, I don't want a vehicle without 3 pedals. Sorry, takes the fun out of it. Takes the fun out of it. I spent 12 years. My first vehicle that I bought was a stick shift. I didn't know how to drive it. Hey, we didn't have any at home. How the fuck am I going to know, right? So the guy sold me the car, showed me how to drive it, and I never regretted it. And then I wrecked it. I wrecked it after I had it 11 years. Like, it's not like it happened overnight, right? And I survived. And no damage other than I didn't have a vehicle. And then I fell into the penance of having 12 years of not having a vehicle without a stick shift. So when I got the WRX in 2021, I'm like, I'm not going back to not having a stick shift because it's just fun. It's a little annoying in a drive-through that's moving really slow. Other than that, traffic, not an issue. I've never complained about it. Can you do military like strikers? Sure. You can do things like, so you have to think outside the box sometimes. Let me get some of this, and I'll show you a perfect example. There's a team I wanted to create around construction equipment. The Hard Hat Hooligans, right? Because I don't see enough fucking construction equipment on a daily basis. All right? And let me show you a couple of vehicles that they have so far. It's a bulldozer, right? It's got a bulldozer with a machine gun on it and something like that. Well, there's no bulldozer in the game. So you have to have it fit into the mold of one of the other. Well, you could create another vehicle class, which I decided not to do. And the reason why is because I don't know that it's balanced. You'd have to play it several times before it was balanced. And I could do it because I'm providing all the vehicles for everybody in the storyline, and nobody really cares who wins. It's about an interesting narrative. But I decided not to do that. So this is a monster truck. This behaves like a monster truck, has all the monster truck isms to it, and then you modify it to make it look like this. Same way the grader is. The grader, this guy, is an ambulance. It's an ambulance class vehicle. So, you can modify it so that it doesn't necessarily have to look like that. But that way, if you use a class of vehicle that's already in the game, because I think the author did a really good job of balancing the point values of the vehicles with what kind of weapon spots they have for them and how much the weapons cost. I think that a lot of thought was put in it, or it seems like it's balanced really well. It doesn't have to be balanced. It just has to be, you don't want something like, rockets that are real powerful, but they only cost 3 points kind of stuff, So yeah, you could do strikers, There's tanks. I think there's an APC house rule, or it's one of the other ones. So you could call, a striker could be a truck. This thing, this fire engine, guns and hoses. It's a fire engine that has a turreted flamethrower. That's what I decided to do. The irony of it, right? The fire vehicles are flamethrowers. And it's got a minigun here on the bottom, and I believe it is a heavy truck. So it has to have all, you can only have those parameters and the point values of everything. So, could I create new vehicle classes? Sure, but I don't really want to. It's kind of peace of mind knowing that I'm not throwing stuff out there that is unbalanced, I think the game is really cool as far as that is. It's pretty even. Now, I like the fact that I'm supplying all the vehicles, because when we first started playing 7 or 8 years ago, nobody pre-designed their vehicles, and everybody kind of designed them on the fly, and everybody basically designed the same fucking vehicle. Like, you had a minigun to the front, and everybody had a submachine gun, and, maybe one guy had, like, oil dropper, and one guy dropped mines, and that was about it. Like, everybody had the same fucking vehicle. And it was boring. It's too easy to have, like, a crutch to, like, I always want to have I'd always want to have a submachine gun, because they fire 360 degrees, and, there's nothing worse than finally getting within range of somebody and you can't because of arc. Well, it's a lot more fun having a vehicle that you have to play each one of them differently. It's like a DBA army, right? Do you want to design a DBA army, or do you want to, have to work with the limitations of the one that you get handed? It's more fun to work with those limitations, I think. So, and we got a pretty good game group. We don't have a lot of people that are like, I only play Space Marines and I only play them this way, and I don't play that. It's like we're willing to give other people. You don't want like the same guy getting stuck playing the same thing over and over again. But it's good, especially if like it doesn't really matter who wins, and we're not keeping score or anything. So, although we have some people that definitely have some repeat issues that come up, like Mitch likes to crash into things. He likes to crash through gates. You can't crash fast enough to win. Okay, that's the grill on this thing. We'll need to let that dry. And while that's drying, then we flip. This is why you got to work on multiple things. I'm not a fan of actually doing that. I prefer to finish one thing, but due to these drying times on this stuff, unlike painting figures, you got drying times involved. You gotta keep moving. So while this is drying, I probably should have painted that too, because we know that's going to be in there. Well, sorry, I've mentally moved over to this now. Not strong tone, dark tone, the black. There it is. We're going to pin wash this thing around the windows and all the details and stuff. Because these cars have a lot of detail, but if you don't do this kind of stuff to make them stand out, you're going to get lost. You got to fool your eye, I mean, the human eye is incredible. Even if you've got bad up-close vision, like, middle-aged people have. But it's a really good game. It's a fun game. It's amazing how many times you play it, how it kind of self-balances itself. Meaning, some guy's like ahead of the whole pack, like he's got it won, and then something happens. He like crashes into the wall, trying to be careful. Even trying to be careful, you roll the dice and something goes sideways. He flips, and all of a sudden, he spins out, and everybody catches up, and then the game has a really wonderful way of doing that. So, Maybe a lot of games have that ability. Now you could totally use strikers. So what I ended up doing, let's see if I can find them. If I can find them quickly. Let me look at my sheets that I made for the cars. And this is like the most important thing to play, as far as I'm concerned, is to have these things pre-made, because man, it makes things so much easier. Let me see if I can grab one of the hard hat hooligans guys. There's two of them in here. Yeah, here's Grade Gunner. Here's Grade Gunner. And Dozed and Confused. That's the dozer. Okay. So Dozed and Confused is a monster truck that's heavyweights, all the stuff from a monster truck normally, right? Heavy machine gun to the front, pistols, obviously the crews have them, and it has a ram, because it looks like it has a ram. If it looks like it has something, I want the vehicle to have it. I'm a big proponent of what you see is what you get. It makes things easier, and it's an opportunity to make things look different from each other. Does every vehicle look good with a ram? Yes, but I don't want to put a ram on a vehicle that doesn't have one. Okay, so it's got up and over and all terrain. It already had that being a monster truck. So we added the perk Bigger Than You. If it's involved in a collision, double the smash bonuses resulting from weight differences. So it's heavyweight. Most vehicles are middleweight. So it would be 2 extra dice on a crash. This actually would make it 4 extra dice. Because it's a monster truck, its max gear goes up to 4. Handling 3, crew 2, so it's a race bulldozer. Although bulldozer would normally be like, okay, well it can only go in first gear. Have a nice day, And then Grade Gunner, what we did is we added tracks to it. So it was normally an ambulance, which is a 5.5.2. It's 5 max gear, handling 2, but because we added tracks, because heck, the thing has tracks, right? It basically dropped its gear by 1 and increased its handling by 1. So it made both vehicles 4.3s. You got to pay for that, but it's just cool. There's enough creativity that you can manipulate it most of the time, Just like elephants and DBA, slow and artillery can bully them. Yeah, there's not something that could just, take off and it's got no weaknesses. Hobby store I used to go to all the time, Gate 2 Depot, did an annual 40K race event. I had a friend who thought he could bring as many elephants as the Army allows and thought he could steamroll everyone. There are many ways to kill elephants that make them work against your opponent. Yep. There's not one thing that works in every situation. Vehicles that are a lot of points generally are slow. And one thing I hit early on is I want vehicles that don't have everything going for them. If you say I'm going to build this Mercedes, okay, and I want 2 guns, and I want to have multiple, I want to have like 20 grenades and all this other stuff. You have a vehicle that costs a lot of points, and if you have many vehicles like that the chassis of it, okay, this happens to be a car, but you can have a truck or something like that. A buggy. If the chassis is really cheap, the more stuff you add onto it, it ends up looking like every other vehicle you have. So the whole point is you have a gun, you have a vehicle that can't do it all, and that's worked really well. Careful, that black is still wet. And all this is acrylic. I am not a fan of enamels. It's a pain in the butt to clean up. And it costs money to clean it up. Water is basically free. You can clean this thing up with water. Yes. And there's lots of different products, if you want to use oils, I guess. There's stuff you can do for that. Ooh, that's a whole pile of armaments and equipment. Oh, have you seen my unboxing on all the vehicles I have? I have an insane amount of vehicles, Rick. And just in a few months. And I've slowed down building them, but I'm still building like 50, I still averaging like 15 vehicles a month. You know? Well, I found out really quick, if you like a vehicle, you better buy it. Because then you get discontinued. They don't keep producing them every year. You'll have to go to like a used store to get them. This is going to be Baron von Richthofen. And if you don't know what that's a play on, well, then we can't be friends. Your Bronco still holding up well? Or as they call it through a drive-through, Jeep. These are the worst things they could call than a Jeep. At least they didn't call it a Buick. Showed a friend of mine some of your pictures of completed Gasland cars. He's blown away. He wants to play. I was like, I'd love to, but you can't be in everything. That's right. You have several red lines I've been wanting to restore. There's some folks out there that just... There's one guy, I don't know who he is. Well, there's probably more than one. But I came across him on the internet, and he had a picture of a Volkswagen bus. You know, the old school Type 2 Volkswagen bus. And they had taken the entire roof and using a Sharpie had drawn on there what looked like, the best way to describe it is like an Aztec calendar with skulls and stuff on there, but it was done so it looks like stone. It's fucking gorgeous. Then they clear coated it and then they painted on top of it, because a Sharpie is, you think, oh, it's a permanent marker, it'll be fine. Permanent markers are weird. Permanent markers are great on like paper, but they're not good on like a slick surface. Like if you use a permanent marker on these lids, it won't stay on it, right? And you get it all over your fucking hands. Like if I ever have to because I use these lids to make like armor plates and stuff like that. So if I try to draw where I'm going to cut with a Sharpie, I'm going to end up with it everywhere other than on that. But they had used a Sharpie. The problem that I have with using markers is the marker, if you look at it, it's hard, like a Sharpie. It's hard, and it has this shape, right? It's if you zoomed in, it has this shape, and it has this width that you can't modify at all. Whereas a paintbrush, you could thin it down and you could screw with it. So I'm a lot better with a paintbrush than I am with a Sharpie, even though I write all the time. But because you can't modify the Sharpie at all, I guess you could get pens that are different thickness, but I'm a lot more comfortable with a paintbrush. After using it for decades, and using a decent paintbrush. But yeah, I like those restoration things. I was watching some other video where this guy had taken something that was just basically looked like it came out of a junkyard, and like added like rear mirrors and like. But then when he went to paint it, he didn't like add all the details, so the stuff didn't come out. I don't know. I like the paint. I don't mind building stuff, but I like the paint. I really like adding what I like to call the drippings. A lot of fun. These products are excellent. They're cheap. They're locally available. They last a long time, and they're just real user friendly as far as cleaning up and stuff. The only kicker is you've got to clear coat this with a flat so that they adhere to it. So there's something that, if you don't clear coat them, the surface is just too slick. So, but there's a lot of different ways to paint them and stuff. That just happens to be how I decided to go with, and I've been pretty consistent with how they look, and I've been happy with them. Yeah, when we first started, everybody designed their cars? No. So everybody would design it on the fly. You'd waste an hour of the game just designing a car, and then everybody had the same fucking car because everybody wanted a performance car or a car with a turreted weapon and like a ram and like a submachine gun. So everybody had the same fucking car. So it's like, the interesting thing is when people are doing, oh my God, I'm in the wrong fucking seat. I'm on the hot seat. Literally, I got rid of this fucking thing. Well, I didn't get rid of it because obviously it's still here, but I need one that has transparent seats so my ass isn't 140 fucking degrees. You know what I'm talking about. So, hot ass. That pleather is just hot as shit. Anyhow. Yeah, I actually bought some vehicles the other day that were expensive. Well, expensive for me. I just wanted to get them. The most expensive vehicle I bought is the one that's the closest to my car. My own personal vehicle. I paid $10 for it. Out of the package. I think they wanted like 15 in the package. And I'm like, no. I don't care about packages. I don't care about collecting things. And I certainly don't want to keep them in the fucking package. Like, I don't understand people that like collect toys and don't take them out of the package. It's like you're just collecting merchandise at that point. Hey, you can do whatever you want with your money, but it's just like it doesn't make any sense to me. So, I walked into this store that had die-cast in 30, 40 miles away out in Ocala, and there's several places there that had collector things. And they had $1, $2, they had some $3 and more $4. And I'm looking around, and they had up on the wall G.I. Joes. I'm talking G.I. Joes from the 80s, right? The 3 3/4 size, whatever the hell they are. And they had this one figure that I had as a kid. I don't remember which one it was. I don't think it was a Cobra figure. I think it was a Joe. In the package, unopened, whatever it was. I don't think it was shipwrecked, but some random guy. They wanted $220 fucking dollars for it. So, like, let's say you're somebody that's like stupid, and pay $220 for a toy that is still in its original packaging. Guess what? You can't take it out of the fucking packaging either. It's like a curse. It's almost like the monkey's paw curse, right? You buy a collector's toy that you want for an absurd amount of money that it's not really worth, but it is to you. But then you can't take it out of the pack. It's like, stop. I'm not the guy for that, So I want to buy vehicles that are cheap because we're gonna modify them, I call it, I'm gonna make it worth more, but it's worth more to me, $220. I don't remember who the hell it was. Roadblock or somebody. I don't know. Your Joes were from the 60s. Yeah, I had the ones from the 80s. Because I used to be a punk ass young kid. Now I'm like, my 50s, so. Now people don't even play with toys. We had cool toys back then. Used to play with toy guns that didn't have no orange tip on them, and nobody shot each other. Like, what happened, School used to know who our dads were. And they laid down the fucking law. Oh, man. I'm just an old punk ass, exactly. You're right about buying cars you want now. Hot Wheels cycle in and out new ones, and then they just get gone. Yeah, I didn't know that. Now you can buy, like this was $1. This is a 2011, and it was $1. You know, it wasn't a limit. If you look at the ones that are what do they call them? Treasure hunts. They all look like ass. The paint jobs that I've seen of treasure hunts. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen a treasure hunt on the shelf. But I've gone to the websites, the website and stuff like that, and seen what it is that have them on there. But the thing about it is, it doesn't matter whether it's a Matchbox, a Hot Wheels, or the Walmart brand ones. They're all like the same price. So there's not like, oh, let me just buy the cheapo ones because they're cheaper. They're not. Maybe 7 cents cheaper. You buy them because they have like different styles that they aren't available in the other ones. But yeah, so let me get this one. I don't think I paid all these. I may have 400 cars. Maybe I have more than 400 cars. They're all going to be opened, and I don't think I paid more than $1 for 375 of them. I mean, it might be 20. Some of them are like, I don't know. I paid $2 for any of them. Like I said, the WRX I have was 10. I bought some this last weekend that were like $7 each because they were special ones that had really cool. I like ones that have really nice striping on them because that's like a pain in the ass to do. Like, I'm not going to spend all the time painting something like this. God, this thing is fucking gorgeous. I don't even like muscle cars. Well, I shouldn't say I don't really like muscle cars. I would never drive a muscle car. But I do like them. Because they don't handle worth a shit. And I'm a handling person. Let me take a photo of this. And then I'll show you the photo. Because if I bring it up to the video, it's going to get lost. And all I did was, this is one of my pride and joys right here. God, this thing is gorgeous. Or, this thing looks like it belongs in this game. I'll see if I can find a picture that's not blurry as shit. It already had that striping on it. Like, why would I ruin that? Why would I undo that? Of course, the whole front of it was all silver. It had silver interior, All the details are there. You just got to paint them. And it's just, I love doing it. So I'll go on the website and I'll be like, okay, rear of the Chevy, a Chevelle. Or whatever the hell this one. Is that what this is? Nova? No, this is Novocaine. So it's got to be, this is Nova Paint. So it's a Nova. Where the headlamps are and everything in the right color. And, I don't have to do that, but it's part of the enjoyment, And invariably, end up reading about the real vehicle and stuff like that. So I'd rather use cars that are based on a real vehicle than some, as cool as this thing is, the gas hole, it's just some make-believe Truckosaurus type of thing, So I like the ones that are the real vehicles, Chrome Carl. Chrome Carl is a 49 Merc. I think it's a 49 Merc. Yep. It's a 49 Merc. And I didn't do anything to it other than add these little sponson machine guns on it. And then paint it like it's part of the same color. That's one thing I like doing. I like adding things on it and then paint it so it matches the color. But it already had the 33. It already had these flames on there. The whole front didn't have the headlamps on it or the grill painted or anything like that. So we did that kind of stuff. And it's a cool vehicle. It's a cool vehicle. I enjoy it. I always thought my parents were poor, and I realized they got us good stuff for Christmas. Things were just different back then. I think I think social media has really fucked us all. And the problem with it is that you just get used to people seeing shit all the time. And you don't, you get used to people seeing all the shit people have, but none of the hard work that goes into earning the money to buy it. Now, a lot of people they don't earn the money. They just like, okay, let me get this payment, get that payment working. So you see all the benefits, but none of this sweat. And I think it really screws with the psyche of society. So I think we've become too capitalistic. And when I was a kid, you had one TV, right? And everybody just had one TV. And, you went on one vacation, and then, it's just different. It's simpler times, And, you can do that if you don't feel like you're the only person in your neighborhood that's basically living that way. And you feel like, man, I feel really impoverished. Everybody's just spending money hand over foot, Right now, my goal is to restore my collection of ancient armies, Napoleonic, and American Civil War. I only have 3 armies for DBA and don't plan to expand beyond that anytime soon. What 3 armies are they? Well, that'd be hard. You only have 3 armies in DBA. Which ones would they be? Holy crap. Well, they all have to fight each other, Even if you said, okay, well, I got to have a Roman army, and then the Carthaginians they fight, and maybe like Alexander. But then you don't have any guys that shoot, so you don't get to see what shooting weapons are. And no elephants, it's like, when does it end? I mean, the internet is great for this hobby because we can communicate with other people, we can get ideas from other folks, but it's terrible for so many other things. It basically you're never happy. And I catch myself I'll go to stores, I'll go to the store and I'm like, and I mentioned this I know I mentioned to Marcus. We may talk that with Tritarch as well, but I've moved out before and didn't have a car, and I've been poor, so to speak, and it's hard to get that out of your system. It's hard to get that out of your system where it's like you go and I think maybe it's a good thing where you're like, I don't really need that. I'm not going to buy that. I'll put things in my shopping cart and then not buy them, because there's so many times you bought stuff and then you didn't do anything with it, and it's just like. And some people just don't care. Some people just don't keep buying and buying. It's like if you have a TV and you don't have cable, it's fine until you have cable, and then you always have to have cable. So it's kind of like doing drugs, I guess. You have to wean yourself off of them if you get too used to them. One thing I like about my Palmyran army was so many archers. I like archers, but you'll get people that'll be like, I don't know how archers suck. I don't know how you can win games. I have won games with archers because you basically take no risks. You just put out there and just start rolling a shitload of dice, and if the guy starts rolling a bunch of ones, the victory can fall on you. You got to be careful with it, but you could get a victory from the other guy just rolling poorly. So I like archers. The other day it was like somebody posted, I don't go off on it very often, but somebody posted on Fanaticus the warband was overpowered. Well, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but I was thinking about getting Magyars and Hungarians. I saw how badly they play. Yeah, Magyars is just a one-trick pony. And the pony's not very... Well, you know what I say? You should do whatever the hell you are. Unless you don't like what you are. back when I was doing DBA videos, I was painting DBA stuff. Some guy came on here. He was a pretty regular. I don't remember what his name is, but he was half German and half Thai, and he claims he hated the fact that he was half German. So there's like no way he was going to play German anything. Okay, that's your prerogative, right? You can do whatever you want. Most people are proud of their heritage, but you know, I don't know, but that's his prerogative. But generally, you know, do what you are, and that way you've got like a tie-in. But he did not like the fact that he was half German. You know, you have a love-hate relationship with archers. I find dealing with solid archers annoying. Yeah, the problem with archers is if you're facing them, you need to make a move. You can't just sit there and just let them have a free reign because you'll lose eventually. So you have to push on them. You know, you have to keep putting pressure on them. Or if you just sit there and run out of pip, like if they just, you know, the problem you run into archers is if they start shooting at you and dishevel your lines, and then you roll poor pips, you know, like, okay, do I redress my lines or move one guy out there by himself to try to engage the archers? And whatever you do could be the wrong decision. You could try to redress your lines, and the next turn he shoots and undresses them again. And then you roll poor pips again, so now we're in the same situation. If you move one guy up to try to get in there, everybody may jump on him, and then you get something like a 2-2 shot on him, and he picks up. So it's like, you know, cheeks, clapping sound. You know, so I don't miss playing the game. I do miss commentating about the different things that could come up in a scenario as I'm playing the game. Because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, like, well, I don't know, I could do that, but this could happen. And I think it helps people that are trying to learn how to play the game. I think. I'm not worried about giving away my plan to anybody. I'm like, you know, I've played against Mitch thousands of times. Is it over more than? I think it's been more than 1,000 times with Mitch. You know, and I was already getting soured on it, you know, basically trying to like promote this game, and like people would come out of the blue and be like, I read the rules once, and I think you're playing it wrong. I said, well, that's not how anybody else does it. And they just want to argue and argue. Just like play the fucking game, man. You always say the Germanic peoples conquered the West. They did. They did. Or the Romans got fat and lazy and subbed out all the warrior stuff to the Germanic peoples, and it got away from them. I got this guy that I know that I've interacted with a fair amount. I don't know him, but he's from Poland, and he swears that I'm like his brother. I'm somehow related to him. Maybe, you know. I mean, my people come from Spain, but I got green eyes, so you know. There's probably some of those. Who's the guy that I'm thinking of? So, you know, Visigoths. Visigoths are over in that, you know, they came through Poland and all that. Yeah, probably. You know? I never played a game with Romans before DBA. And I don't have anything against it. Or ancients, just nobody in my area played. So, you know, when you're a kid or when you're younger, how are you going to find out about a game? You know, there's no internet back then, right? So you've got to basically, somebody's got to put on that game at a store. Well, nobody put on that game. I never played it. I knew about the histories. I took, you know, I've always been into history. I just wouldn't be able to tell you, you know, proportionally what a Roman army is made of, you know? Because that's the good thing about DBA is you get an idea of what proportion of troop types are within the army. You know, so like if you got a Marian Roman army, you know that, okay, well, you know, 2/3 of the army is foot guys or legionnaires. And you got some skirmishers and about the same proportion as there are mounted troops. So you get the whole gist of it within the 12 element thing. So I think the 12 element thing is really cool because you can kind of wrap your head around the proportions of what an army consists of. You know? So I think it does that really well. You know, like I wouldn't have known that, what percentage of like the Visigoth army is mounted as opposed to being warband, that kind of stuff. The only thing I don't like about ancients is, especially biblical armies, is you just don't know shit about them. There's just stuff isn't written down. Being a World War II guy, I was always annoyed that it's like, man, I wish there was a color picture of this. And then you move to ancients and like, man, I wish we knew anything about this fucking civilization. It's really kind of puts it into perspective. But I'm big on heraldry. And, so I like the medieval stuff because of that. So man, I miss playing my Irish. O'Doggo and company. But it just got to the point where the game was just like, it was annoying to not have the game be able to grow. And then people that didn't know anything that would have because that's the problem with the internet is everybody has a voice. And some people just, there's a reason that we're not a democracy. Although I'm not so sure that's a good reason. Nothing about politics is good, but, it's the same thing. It's like, not everybody's voice should be worth the same value. Somebody who's read the rule book once, or somebody who's played, assuming they've played the game correctly, 500 times, or even 100 times. Wow, is it actually going to rain? Wow. Let's see. Where the... Nah. It's not over us. Unless this is wrong. I remember your collection of D6. You keep using a die even if it's on a bad street. Yeah. Fuck that. I hate superstitious people. It's just stupid. I mean, we're not asking like, you're not asking people to like piss on somebody's grave, okay? Or burn a church down and wonder why you have bad luck. I'm just talking about using the dice, right? Using the dice. So if the dice starts acting weird, keep using it. It doesn't get the day off. I know this one guy that plays DBA. He's not in any of the videos. He's ultra religious. Super religious, right? Super Christian religious. He has this box of dice. One's like 24. One of them starts rolling bad, he switches to another one. It's like, you're awfully superstitious for, that weird one with the Chinese numbers, yeah. I've seen all kinds of ridiculous things happen with dice that are just so freaking unlikely that it's just not believable. And that's also why I don't like watching people that have heavily edited videos, because you wonder, it's like, did this guy play it like 50 times and and then decide to change how things happen because it's more interesting. Like take for instance the illustrious 3D bot maker, okay? 3D bot maker and his videos, which are, in my opinion, the best videos on YouTube. Period. He doesn't need me saying that. He's got millions of subscribers. I think he's got over 1 million subscribers. The guy deserves 10 million subscribers. He does a superb job. It's exhausting how much editing he has to do to get the results that he gets. But one of the things that's really funny is the commentator between the two commentators. And then I found out, well, it's actually not two people. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, he does a Phil Henry, not Phil Henry, because Phil Henry I don't think changes his voice. He probably has some kind of voice changing thing, and he does both of the commentators. And the comments are happening not as the game is going on, but after the fact. And I'm like, okay. So if you're coming up with snazzy things that are like, this guy's won it unless this happens, and you coincidentally put that at a time period where something does happen because you know that it happened, you're like, it just turns into like a reality show, you know? And I just don't watch stuff like that. So I like the fact that everything that we do is unedited. So if I say stuff like, roll a 6, I roll a 1, I'm going to make you roll a 1, and the guy rolls a 1, it's not edited, you know? And I'm used to that type of gameplay. I don't like things where it's like you're treated like you're a 7-year-old, you know? So I don't watch anybody's content that's obviously like that. And then, and then the AI stuff's even worse. By AI meaning, videos with AI. Like, there's a conflict going on right now, and you can't watch any of the videos on it because you don't know if that's really what you're seeing. So it's like it just creates this ridiculous apathy. And I don't ever want to raise any kind of, I don't do fake shit. It's too much trouble to do it, and it's just, I don't know how people sleep at night. So I don't live my life that way, and or yelling boomba and things die by artillery. Yeah, it's fucking exciting. We get excited when we play games. And there's some people that I grew up playing games with, they just weren't having fun. Okay? And it's not an age thing. Don plays with us, and Don's probably the oldest player we have, but I think he's pretty young at heart. He's not like, I don't want to play games with people that don't have any chispa, okay? They don't have any chispa. Thrill for, it's not about getting angry or having it, no. You got to be a good sportsmanship, but you need to get excited when insane stuff happens, or I don't want to play with you. It's just, that's the most exciting thing about the game, especially if it's extremely unlikely for it to happen. Now, with Gaslands, one of the things I like the most about Gaslands is that I'm interested in a good narrative, right? It doesn't matter who wins, because most of the time when we're playing, I like playing, and some people don't like this. I think Mitch likes it as well. I don't think he likes it as much as I do. What somebody coined command by committee. Whereas you're just talking out loud and everybody's contributing to what you should do. And ultimately you get to decide as the player which one of those options is. But I like command by committee because it's social. It's a social interaction between, well, I don't know, what do you think I should do? Well, yeah, but did you think about... So it's like you're having a conversation. And it's not arguing with somebody, but it's cool. It's really cool doing that instead of like internalizing all that and nobody even knows why you made the decisions that you did. So I really, really, really enjoy that part of Gaslands because most of the time I'm giving people suggestions, whether or not they want them or not, about what move they should do. Because I just want it to be a good game. And Luke picked up on it really quick. He's like, I'm going to do this because that's what the people want to see. And I don't have him on video saying that, but that's his coin, and it's true. People, assuming there's spectators watching this gladiatorial car combat, they want to see insane shit. You don't need to drive like an idiot, but when there's like a risky behavior for like a really big payoff that will be spectacular, that's what you want to do. Because that makes the whole purpose of being there and watching it. I don't enjoy RPG because my friends want no-risk gaming. It's hard to do RPG because you either get a GM that's too easy or a GM that has a small penis and wants to kill everybody. So, that's the problem with that. Is there's no in between, or it seems like there's no in between. So The closest I would do to RPG would be like run my World War II game. And like, there's the rules. And if you can't find something in the rules, well, it probably should be this. Not here to fuck anybody. It's just this. It's like it's a choose your own adventure game. It's fun to make decisions. I enjoy making decisions. And I don't want to play a game without any dice. Dice are all the fun. Every time you roll dice is an opportunity for greatness. If the rocks fall, they got small pee-pee. Small pee-pee. That's why you should never play a game with people that you don't like. Because if you're playing with people that don't like, there's a good honor code. You don't care who wins. It's just about a fun narrative. Oh, we made some progress on here. Have you been paying attention? You guys are doing great. Enough interaction to, make me run my fucking mouth. And I've gotten a fair amount of this done. And I don't know where the hell this storm is. Probably gonna have to stop soon. It's almost bedtime. I don't see any. Oh, I had it in the future. Well, even now, I don't see where the hell it is. It's not. If it is, it's not going to be very deep. Not going to take a long time to go through it. So, have you ever had to deal with someone who maybe not outright cheated, but it was a little too loosey-goosey when measuring a movie? Absolutely. And there's only one thing worse than a person who does that. When it's your turn to move, they literally like, oh, you moved too far, and then when they move, it's like, and then you can't tell where they started, so you can't, any time where people operate by a different set of rules than you do, not cool, not fucking cool. One person in particular, they don't play DBA anymore, and it's actually this other person is someone who is, they're never happy. If they're winning, they're not happy. If they're losing, they're certainly not happy. So people like that, I don't need them in my life. I'm the opposite situation. We prefer war games over RPG because of the interaction. Is there any role playing in the game or an experience? I guess you can. You can play series races in a series. We haven't done that yet because I'm still fleshing out the teams, even though I've got over 60 cars. We'll get to it eventually. I think the game has a lot of going for it, and it's loose enough that you could make your own modifications to it. And I don't think it's unbalancing. There's a lot of things that, different ways to play a game. And people like different stuff. There's people that want to play Rise and Decline of the Third Reich. I'd fall asleep in that. And you're like, well, I want to play role-playing games. Well, I personally like playing Diablo, and I've been playing a little bit of the Path of Exile or whatever, which is like really slow moving. But I tried playing Baldur's Gate, and I'm like, it takes forever to move anything along, and I don't like. I'm saying this because Rick's on here because I know he knows how I feel about that. I want to play fucking humans. I want to play fucking. If we're gonna play a role playing game that's a fantasy setting, we're all fucking humans. And you know what? We're killing fucking monsters. Well, that guy's got pointy ears, and I want to fuck him, kill him. It's sorry, I'm a human supremacist. You know, that's how I want to play the game. And I tend to not want to. But my persona is I don't like playing a character that has to backstab people. I don't like that. If the situation happens and I have to do it to win the game at the last minute, I'll do it. But I don't like to play somebody who has to pretend that they're selling you a car that's broken. I don't live my life that way. You know, if I tell you, hey, I really like this vehicle, I really like it, not like I've got some agenda. That's just not, it's very unnatural to be that way. You know? You play humans or dwarves because I'm both. You're not a dwarf. Come on, man. There was a guy I'm playing Hero Quest, and this guy looked like a dwarf, literally. And he came in and he's like, "Are there any dwarves?" Like, the game was already going through one session, and if you wanted to stay, you could play. And you know, when I played, what did I play? A human fucking knight, right? That's what I'm playing, right? If I can play one character, that's what I'm playing. Doesn't mean I won't play other characters. Just like, oh, I'm only get to play one character, human knight. That's what I'm playing. You know, and I do honorable shit, and I do knightly type of crap, and you know. But this guy showed up after we played one. He's like, "Hey, you got any dwarves?" Because he wanted to play a dwarf, and he said, "I want to play guys I want to play guys with beards because I have a beard." And then, without missing a beat, I said, "Well, I like playing people that are clean shaven because I can grow a beard." You know, I like playing humans. Why? Because I'm a fucking human. You know. You're short there. You're not that short. Now, if it's a video game, and I don't mind playing female characters as long as they're hot. They gotta be hot, I'm sorry. You know? Or at least I need to find them attractive. I'm not playing female characters, but they better be cute. Just saying. I ain't playing no dwarf girl. Nope. Nope. Gotta play some human bo bitch, as I call them. Back from Diablo 1. One friend of mine's like, "You playing the bo bitch?" Yep, stuck. Bo bitch. That paladin that just came out for Diablo 4, that motherfucker is awesome. And it's like, that's what a paladin should be like. But it's not like that's the only character I play. I play them all, except the fucking druid. The druid's... The druid, I need to do some deep diving on the druid. I just can't get into these, like, hippie shaman type guys. I don't have a hippie shaman blood in me at all, you know? I'm 6'2" and identify as a dwarf with height disability. They better have a nice booty, too. They always do. What was that game? What's the game that's Assassin's Creed, the Greek one? You could play some long-haired dude or the girl. Yeah, I'm playing the girl. And you need to see the backside of her the whole game. And she's cute. She could kick my ass, though. I mean, you know, she definitely would be able to whoop my ass. But she's definitely attractive. What's her name? Cassandra? Yeah, I think it's Cassandra. Yeah. That game is, you know... Man, the visuals on it are beautiful. I don't mean just the girl. I mean just the Greek temples and all that kind of stuff. You know, even though you're like... They always have to include things that are, you know, on there. You know, I don't like the whole... what, isn't there like a Valhalla one or whatever? It's probably like that Viking show on Netflix. Like, they got black people in Viking. Look, I have no problem with including different groups. But they better go with a theme, right? Just like, you know, if you're going to do something in, like, Japan, it better be full of Asians. Just saying, you know. You want to smash things with a hammer or axe. So, yeah, this game, we're including all kinds of people from all walks of life, and they're all lowlifes. Because everybody in this freaking game is a lowlife. No, they're all criminals. They're basically sentenced to death, right? Imagine Borderlands. It's all the dregs of Borderland. Everybody's a dirtbag, you know. So I was playing the Bimbo Bomber. and somebody was like, "Hey, fan, the bimbo. Why is your, why is your, not all blondes or bimbos?" I said, "Well, this fucking bitch is, because that's how I made her. She's bad. She probably, burns cats or something. I don't know what her backstory is, but she's not a good individual." None of these people are role models. And I really like it because I really feel like we can make fun of everything. And hopefully you got some thick skin because we're going to make fun of everything. Almost everything. Almost everything. That was, I set up a game the other day. It was like one of the teams was, let's see, what do we have? We had the British team. We had Germans. We had the girl team. Couple other ones. And Luke's like, "I want to be the girls." Perfect. Everything. Every team should be fun to play. Every team should be fun to play. Whether it's the Nerd Burglars or Asian Decimation or Boombox Carnage, all of them should be fun to play. Any pedestrians in the game or drivers that lost their car? I think there's house rules. They're not in the original rule book. You could easily come up with your own ones, but I would start with like what is the house rule for it, try it, and then modify as needed. Because we play the game pretty much the way it's intended, except like we changed the pole position rule because it's too fucking complicated. Mitch and I were fucking it up backwards all the time. Like, oh, that guy was actually supposed to move. We were like making mistakes all the time. Like, it's too complicated. We're having too much fun to be paying attention that much. Asian devastation. You fuck up now. Exactly. Yeah, Mitch and I say that all the time. That's why it's got to be on there. Yeah, I got a couple. It's all about having fun, man. It's all about having fun. Let me go over here to. Yeah, and I really like making these ads up. If you're old enough like me, maybe you'll understand the double. Can something be double entendre and not be sexual, or is double entendre automatically means that it's sexual? Everything has double meaning on it. Okay, like for instance, if you're my age, you'll know where this comes from. I'm like, oh, I want an ad for some tires. They go tires. They go fast, they go slow. They go through rocks, they go through snow. Yeah, well, that's how you use AI. I'm not pretending that it's a real ad. It's kind of obvious. I'm not making a video that looks, I came across this one the other day and modified it to look like stained glass. Jeremy Clarkson, protect us from electric motors. So this is going to be on a church. And the church in the game is going to be, and I found out about this recently. There's two gamey things that I found out recently, and I mean in the last 3 weeks. One of them was that people call characters tunes. Never. Dude, I've been gaming on computers since Wolfenstein 3D. Never heard anybody call anything a tune. Ever. Never heard that. And the other thing is, oh, you need to pray, and this is the religion in this game, the only religion in the game. You need to pray to RNG Jesus. But there's no J in it. When I saw that, that's fucking awesome. Random number generator Jesus. So that's what the religion is in this thing. What else did I make? The frickin' Mexican group, man. This one's awesome. You like this one, Tritarch. The Asphalt Saint. And I modified the cars so they look like cars that I have already for the team. Blessed are the ruthless. But it created this little calavera dude, and he's awesome. It's just too fucking cool. It's just too cool not to do this. Here's an ad. I didn't do hardly any modifying. It came up with all this crap. Hellmouth superchargers. All that stuff was generated by AI. And you got to tinker with it a little bit, but very, very, very little. And it knows about Gaslands. Like it's just too awesome. You don't let it do everything, you know. My diner, okay. My diner is. I said I got to work this in somehow because this is my saying, dick mothers. So that's going to be my diner in the game. And it's the diner that's in there while people are like driving and, you know, might crash into there while you're at it, you know. Marty's shop. I've already printed this thing out. It's truly, truly amazing. I'm like, oh, well, let me take my car and modify it and Gasland it. This is just pulling stuff off the internet. I mean, AI is really cool for that stuff. I don't want it to make fake videos on, hey, it'd be funny if, you know, you put the head of Trump on top of a cat. I don't want that shit. You know, that's bullshit, you know? Yeah, here's the girl team. Hairpin harlots. Fast girls finish first. Whatever that means. I printed out the German one, but I haven't made it. You know? Circus Germanicus. And on the bottom in German it says, speed is everything. Yeah, I never played the Twisted Metal game. I started watching the show, and it's like any show. It starts off strong and then ends weak. Haven't made it through the first season. I need to make this sign somewhere and work it somewhere into it. This came off the internet. Spread anarchy and then cross through. It says, don't tell me what to do. I love that. And then, of course, the ones I made today, I figured, well, I could do movie posters too. How I Met Your Mother. From The People Who Survived Family Dinner, How I Met Your Mother. Life's a bitch and your mom is one too. And then one for Mitch, which he's actually stars in the movie, Revenge of the Rutabagas. You better eat your vegetables before they eat you. It's incredible. So that's what I use it for. Because it's like, you know, yeah, I could paint a poster and spend 30 hours on it. And it wouldn't look as good as that, you know. So... yeah, they paint up pretty good. Here's Circus Germanicus. It's not mounted on a poster yet. Werewolves of London. There you go. Life's a bitch and your mom is too. I watched that movie for the first time, The Werewolf of London. American Werewolf of London. For the first time, maybe... it might have been 10 years ago. It's like, man, those special effects are really good for that time. So it's a fun as hell game. I really enjoy the creative stuff. Most of the people we play with, they don't care. They just want to laugh and have a good time. That works, you know. That works, but I can't do DBA and do this. You know, there's a problem with DBA is I want to build like a Visigoth army for like the next show. I got to spend basically in solitary confinement the next 5 months, and that's I can't stray or I won't get them done. You know. But I hate the AI videos. I absolutely hate them. Because then it just basically makes you not trust even less than you trust anyways. Like, that's not really that person. All right, well, we're going to stop for the evening. You guys were awesome today. So you guys get your merit badge for today, definitely. You know, here's another one. And I talk about teams. I like cars that can go on multiple teams. So this is the Harry Potter mobile, okay? It's on the British team. It's not the Harry Potter mobile. I think we're going to call this... I think we're calling this Dog Farts Dropout. So it's not Hogwarts, it's Dog Farts. Dog Farts Dropout. So I asked my daughter, I said, what's the... Because I've only made it through, like... I know Rick watches all the fucking Harry Potter movies, right? I've tried to watch the first one twice, and I think I've made it to 17 and a half minutes. I'm like, I can't take it anymore. I can't fucking take it anymore. And, like, what's the deal about this car? Well, it flies, and it kind of has a mind of its own. So it's kind of like the Cape in Doctor Strange. It's like, yeah, kind of. It's like, okay. Well, I don't know if we can do a flying car, but it's going to do stuff. So this guy can be on the British team and the Nerd Burglars. You know, so this is like a perfect Nerd Burglar team. You know, the Fubuki, female driver and Japanese team, so it can do cross on both sides. I've got I made a poster for him. Let me see if I can find it. I have a Corvette that has a big Chinese dragon on it, and it's gold. And I'm like, man, what am I going to do with this thing? Because it's like, you know, the Asian team, it's not only are the Asians, but they drive Asian vehicles. A Corvette is not an Asian vehicle. So he's going to be, I have it here somewhere. Maybe it's still stuck in chat. I decided to I added all the stuff in there and decided, okay, well, just tell me to see what it looks like. And, I should be able to, I don't know if I can do it on here. Images. And it pulls all the images up. And you just search by the image. Here we go. He's an Asian rapper named Rice Cube. Oh, this isn't the latest one. It does some crazy stuff. It gave me a little logo for the Asian team that's freaking hilarious. And it doesn't like doing things that are edgy sometimes, but sometimes it'll just like surprise me. It's like, oh, you know what's going on. You know what's funny. Go back to this. I believe it's this one. Yeah. So I put on there, Rice Baby. Walk this way to Death Rally, and it painted it looks like the dragon that's on that car. So, all right, folks, thanks for coming by. Probably won't be on tomorrow because the girls get back, but definitely over the weekend. And thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you guys.